The NBA playoffs tip off this weekend as well. And again, a lot of intrigue. Maybe not as many dramatic first round playoff matchups, but this is going to be a tremendous postseason in the NBA where you have the defending champions who look great again, a star on the rise who has already reached levels that people did not think he'd get to this quickly, and the guy who is holding on to, trying to anyway, the best player in the world spot, plus a lot of evenly matched sides over in the East, some veterans looking for one last push. So many storylines to look at in the NBA postseason. So let's do it. Let's dive into the NBA playoff bracket. All right, NBA playoff time. We go through a lot of tanking. We go through watching a lot of bad teams to get to this point. Now it's the time we've all been waiting for. So let's dive right in. Up first, Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Phoenix Suns. This one doesn't need a whole lot to break down. If Phoenix wins a game, that's a massive step for them. It is OKC, and I have them in 4. I think it'd be pretty quick. All right, let's not jump too far ahead here with the jumping down NBA.com. Up next, Lakers taking on the Houston Rockets. There is part of me that worries that the only reason I'm picking Houston is because no Luka, no Reeves. But if Luka can come back this series, I think that changes the dynamic of this incredibly. But I just think Houston is a bad matchup for the Lakers. Even if Luka gets back, it definitely gets more difficult for them, no question. But I still feel like the Rockets, I might have even picked them anyway to win this one. So I like Houston here in this spot. I think it's going to be a bit of a grind. I think it goes to a 6th game. Up next, Nuggets taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I do think, and we did this in our quick preview a little bit before, I do think Minnesota is a difficult matchup for Denver. I do think that there are a couple of interesting looks that they can throw at them defensively that can give them some problems. And I do think offensively, the Timberwolves are able to have a pretty good time against what Denver is doing on the defensive side, but the Nuggets are just too good. And with Murray back, and we'll see what other pieces are healthy and what other ones aren't, but the Timberwolves just aren't on the level, I don't think, of the Denver Nuggets. I think that Minnesota is probably going to have to empty the clip pretty quick, and Jokic is going to be able to solve a lot of those problems. So I like the Nuggets here, taking this one down. I will say 6. I do think Minnesota is going to be able to get a couple there. Portland taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Shout out to the 2% who are all Portland Trailblazers fans, or just people putting these brackets together that are putting in every combination you could possibly think of. There's no way. Portland, it's an awesome story, what they've been able to do. Very interesting start to the year for sure, but I think their big days are ahead. They don't have anyone that, I mean, no one has anyone to slow down Victor Wembanyama. Defensively, they're going to make these a bit of a grind, and I do think San Antonio feels this series as this goes along, but I think for this one, they're going to be able to get by them, and I just don't think Portland's going to be able to score with San Antonio in the way that they would need to, so I do have the Spurs taking this one in a sweep. Let's go now to the Eastern Conference. The Pistons taking on the Orlando Magic. This is not where Orlando thought they were going to be this season. They avoid disaster by at least getting out of the play-in and getting into this, but now they face a Pistons team that can kind of do what they do and just better. The Magic are going to need best case scenario from all of their guys to hang in this one. I do think they make it a bit more competitive than a couple of the ones we see out in the West, but I do like the Pistons to come out of this, and I do think they get it in 5. Up next, it's the Cavaliers taking on the Toronto Raptors. There's homerism with this, 1,000,000,000%, and I will admit that fully. I do think for the Raptors to win this series, Scotty Barnes needs to be the best player in it. And there's a world where that happens, right? Like Scotty Barnes can just be that guy. I do think the matchup is tough for Toronto because of how dangerous the guards are for the Cavs and how not great the Raptors have been defensively with Quickly and all of that. Like, I think there will be conversations, maybe even by next week, early next week, about having Shed or Walker in the starting lineup. We're trying to get CMB in there as well to try to slow something down defensively for Cleveland. I do think that there are some unique looks that the Raptors would be able to throw at the Cavs to maybe throw it off a little bit. We've also seen Cleveland, like, all this talk about how much better they are than the Raptors and all of this. We've said that about the Cavs in playoffs past, and it has kind of fallen apart for them. I'm gonna be the homer here. I am taking the Raptors because they're my team. I am admitting that, but I can at least see a world where Mitchell continues to have some playoff struggles. Harden continues to kind of disappear playoff time, and Mobley maybe doesn't step up in the way that the Cavs would need him to be competitive in this series or to win this series. So I'm going to say the Raptors need best case scenario on a lot of things, but I'm being a homer. I am admitting it. I'm going to go Raptors taking this one in 7. Who would have thought Raptors over Cavaliers in 7 games a few years ago? Up next, it's the Knicks against the Hawks. A lot of people looking at the Atlanta Hawks as a potential upset pick here. I'm not seeing it. Atlanta, it's been a great story. You love how they have stepped up in Trae Young's absence and really put together a pretty good team. It's a well-rounded group. I just feel like the Hawks' strength, the Knicks can kind of offset at least a little bit. I think when the Knicks are rolling, I don't know what the Hawks can do to stop Brunson or Cat. I think that's going to be the advantage. I am interested at some of the matchups. I think when you go Brunson with Robinson and maybe some bench pieces, I think that the Hawks really wouldn't have much for that, and then just kind of let Towns do his thing. I think there are some interesting looks that the Knicks can throw out there to get this done. I like the Knicks. I think they've put together a good roster and a good team that is set up for this time of year, and they played some very good basketball late. So I'm going to go Knicks in 6. And then Celtics against the 76ers. History, marquee teams, blue blood franchises, and all of that. I don't see the 76ers taking it here. You would need Embiid to be healthy the entire time. You can't trust that. I get like Maxey, Edgecombe, they're spunky, they're spry, all of that. Celtics get it done. I think they get it done in 5. I don't think this is going to be an overly close series. Let's now go to the semifinals then in the conferences. Thunder taking on the Rockets. Again, there's no match for it. Defensively, what the Thunder could do to any ball handler for Houston is going to look almost criminal. I think the Thunder dominate in this, so I like OKC. I will give the Rockets an extra game, but I like OKC getting through there. Next, Nuggets taking on the San Antonio Spurs. If we played this on NBA 2K, I think the Spurs take it. I do think this is where the lights would get a little bright, and some of that pressure that we've started to see in some of these younger teams have some struggles with already through the play-in. I think this is where it starts to get to the Spurs. I think this is going to be an unbelievable series, and this is going to be Wemby's the best player in the world. I think that's what we're going to come out of this thinking, but I do also think we're going to come out of this thinking the Nuggets are still a very good team. Nuggets in 7. I think Jokic and the experience they have is just going to be the difference. Out east, Pistons taking on the Toronto Raptors. I went homer for the first round. I can't in the second round. I think when you look at the guard play, there's just nothing the Raptors can do to slow down Cade Cunningham or any of the other guys on there. I feel like on the flip side of it, Detroit can kind of counter the Raptors' strengths just a little bit better than what Cleveland would be able to do. And the Pistons are just a better basketball team. So no miraculous run for the Raptors here. They fall to the Pistons, and I think probably pretty quickly. I think in 5 games. I'll give them a win in the North. It would be a marquee series in the East. Knicks taking on the Celtics. It's what these teams have kind of been battling all season long. I think we get a repeat of last year. I think the Knicks take this one. I'm high on the Knicks. I think they've played very good here late in the season. I think they've started to kind of figure things out a little bit. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer to Tatum being 100%, but I think the Celtics, again, kind of like we saw in the series last year, go hunting for mismatches with Brunson just a little bit too much. Like Brunson is almost just like a decoy out there, forcing them to try to do that, while the Knicks kind of just play their ball. They're a deeper team this year than they were last year, and I think, honestly, while some Celtics have stepped up, I think the Knicks might be deeper than the Celtics, so I like New York to advance here in a great series. I think it goes 7. Conference Finals. It's the matchup we've wanted all year. It's the Thunder taking on the Denver Nuggets. Oklahoma City are just so good, and so few weaknesses. There is part of me that's like, look, we're sleeping on Denver too much. Like, I feel like people are underrating the Nuggets to a point where I want to take them and be like, no. Listen, this team is scary. Watch out for them. but I just can't get there. Oklahoma City, they've done it to everyone. They are deep. They can throw everything defensively at the Nuggets, where Denver, I don't think, would be able to slow down OKC in that way. Denver protecting the basketball, I think, would help them, but Oklahoma City gets this done. It'll be a great series. I think it goes 6. I also think I have the Thunder playing 9 games leading into that, while the Nuggets have 2 battles in the first 2 rounds. I think that helps them out. Pistons taking on the New York Knicks. Again, I'm on the Knicks. I just, the last couple games of the season, and maybe it's tricking me because, I mean, Boston was sitting guys in that game that they played. And I understand that. But I feel like they're a deeper team. I feel like when you go down to clutch time, either way, I guess, Brunson can be that dude. And I think the one thing they need to figure out is when Brunson and Cat are on the floor, getting Cat a little bit more engaged early on. But if Mitchell Robinson is healthy, it just gives this team a different dynamic that I don't know if there's many teams in the East that can handle. So I like the Knicks here in 6. So then we get to the NBA Finals. It is the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the New York Knicks. And while, yes, I have been high on the Knicks the entire road, there is no one, and I do mean no one, that can handle what this Oklahoma City team can present. There's no way I can pick against OKC here. I think the Thunder get it done. I think the Knicks get one in the Garden, and that's it. So Oklahoma City, I have them as your NBA champions for the 2026 season. Again, there's at least 15 franchises that are going to be disagreeing with me a little bit. I don't know. Portland may not put up much of a fight, actually, on this. But where do you guys disagree with me? Let me know in the comments, and we can keep the basketball conversation going. Also, watching this on YouTube, hit that share button, and let's spread the word of Couch Potato Diary. Really trying to grow something here, and really trying to grow the channel. So hit that share button, and hit up your basketball fan friends. If you want to use it as trash talk, that's fantastic. If you just want to use it as, this guy's dumb, let's talk about how dumb he is, that's fine too. I disagree, but that's fine too. But we can keep that conversation going. Hit that share button and hit me up on social media. I am at Primetime Klein on Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky.